Welcome to World Rare Coins. If you've ever wondered what rare treasures could be hiding in your change jar, you're in the right place. From valuable pennies to forgotten silver dollars, we uncover the stories, secrets, and surprising values of America's rarest coins. Top 1 today, we're diving into one of the most iconic and mysterious coins ever struck by the United States Mint, the legendary Washington quarter dollar from 1776 to 1976. This coin is more than just pocket change. It's a piece of American history, and some versions of it could be hiding a fortune right under your nose. So grab your magnifying glass and pay close attention, because the details we're about to explore could turn an ordinary-looking coin into a collector's dream. Now, what makes the 1776 to 1976 quarter so special? First, let's understand what this coin really is. It was created as part of America's bicentennial celebration, marking 200 years of independence from 1776 to 1976. Instead of the regular eagle on the back design, the U.S. Mint decided to do something extraordinary for the occasion. They introduced a new reverse design that features a colonial drummer boy, a powerful tribute to the Revolutionary War spirit. This special coin was released in both regular circulation and in collector's sets, making it a highly talked about coin for decades. But here's the twist: not all bicentennial quarters are created equal. While millions were minted and used in everyday life, some were struck under special conditions. A limited number were made with 40% silver, intended for collectors only. And even among those, certain errors and rare features make a few coins incredibly valuable. We're going to tell you exactly what to look for. What kinds of errors make this coin valuable? First off, there's the double die obverse. This is when the front side of the coin, featuring George Washington, shows a slight but noticeable doubling in the text or the date. These errors happen during the minting process and are extremely sought after by collectors. Next, there's the off-center strike. Imagine a quarter where the design is printed too far to one side, leaving a blank crescent along the edge. That's a minting mistake, and the more dramatic the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes. Then you've got the clad layer missing error. In this case, the coin looks like it's made of copper instead of the typical silverish tone, because it's missing one of its outer layers. If you've ever found a quarter that looks strange in color and texture, don't dismiss it. You could be holding something that collectors would pay thousands for. And let's not forget the proof errors. Proof coins are specially made for collectors and are struck multiple times to bring out perfect detail. But sometimes, a proof coin has unexpected flaws, like frosted areas missing or mirror-like fields with unexpected cloudiness. If you find one of these in your collection or inherited it from a family member, you might be in for a big surprise. But even without any visible errors, if your 1776 to 1976 quarter is one of the rare silver-clad versions and is in flawless, uncirculated condition, especially if it's been graded by a top coin grading company, it could already be worth a significant sum. Now here's something every coin collector loves to hear: the stories. There are documented cases of people discovering these rare bicentennial quarters in old collections, junk drawers, and even in pocket change. What looked like a common quarter turned out to be a life-changing find, simply because the owner knew what to look for. Now the million-dollar question, or should I say the $89,000 question: how much could a rare, error-marked, or high-grade 1776 to 1976 Washington quarter actually be worth today? Well, buckle up, because if you're holding one of these rare beauties, especially with a double die, off-center strike, or missing clad layer, and it's in pristine condition, It could be valued at up to $89,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin you might have thought was just spare change could actually be a hidden treasure. So now's the time to check your coin jars, dig through that old shoebox in the attic, or re-examine your childhood collection. That special quarter could be waiting for you to discover it. Top 2, we're unlocking the secrets of one of the most surprising coins in American history. It's the Washington Quarter from the year 1965. Now, before you think it's just a regular quarter, let me stop you right there. Because this ordinary-looking coin, if it has the right error, could be worth more than most people make in a year. So watch this video very carefully, especially if you're a coin collector or just someone who might have an old stash of coins tucked away in a drawer. Let's begin with a little background. The year 1965 was a turning point in U.S. coinage. That was the year the U.S. Mint made a massive change. Silver coins were officially discontinued for circulation. Before 1965, quarters were made of 90% silver. But due to rising silver prices, the mint had to switch to a less expensive metal composition. Starting in 1965, quarters were made using a copper-nickel clad over a copper core. So the Washington Quarter in 1965 became the first year of the clad quarter, a big moment in numismatic history. Now, here's where it gets interesting. During this transition from silver to clad, not everything went smoothly. Some errors slipped through the cracks. In fact, a few rare 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover 90% silver planchets, the blank discs that coins are stamped on. These rare silver 1965 quarters are one of the biggest hidden treasures in the coin world today. To the naked eye, they might look like any other coin, but test their weight or hear the ring they make when tapped, and you'll notice something's different. Let me break it down even further. That a regular clad 1965 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. But a silver quarter from that era? Closer to 6.25 grams. That small difference is your first big clue. And silver quarters also have a more solid, bell-like ring when dropped, unlike the dull sound of modern coins. But that's not the only error that could make your 1965 quarter incredibly valuable. There are also known double die errors, where the images and letters appear slightly doubled, especially around the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." This happens when the coin is struck twice or misaligned during the minting process. If you've got a 1965 quarter with a visible doubling, hold on to it. It could be a jackpot. Another known rarity is the off-metal strike, where a quarter is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a dime or even a foreign coin. These minting mistakes are super rare and highly sought after by collectors because they show how unpredictable and fascinating the minting process can be. And let's not forget the off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because it was stamped off balance. Some of these 1965 off-center quarters can be dramatically misaligned, making them unique and much more valuable. Here's what makes this story even more thrilling. Most people never check their coins. These quarters have been hiding in plain sight for years, passed from hand to hand, tossed into piggy banks, dropped into vending machines, and buried in forgotten coin jars. The very next quarter you touch could be one of them. So, why are collectors obsessed with this coin? Because the Washington Quarter is already iconic, but the 1965 version is wrapped in a cloud of mystery. It marks the beginning of the clad era, but a few silver leftovers made it through. It looks ordinary, but it carries a story of change, mistakes, and hidden value. For collectors, it's the thrill of the hunt. For historians, it's a piece of the past. And for anyone holding the right one, it might just be a fortune waiting to be found. And now, the moment you've been waiting for it. If you have a 1965 Washington quarter that was struck on a silver planchet, or one with a major minting error like a double die or off-metal strike, and it's in uncirculated or high-grade condition, then congratulations. That one little quarter in your hand could be worth up to $85,000. Yes, you heard me correctly. That's not a myth. That's a real market value for an exceptionally rare and well-preserved 1965 quarter with those key features. Go check your pocket change. Dig into that jar of old coins. Ask your grandparents if they have a stash somewhere. You never know. You might already be holding a treasure. Top 3, we're talking about the Washington quarter dollar from the year 1967. A coin that might look ordinary on the outside, but could secretly be worth a small fortune if it has the right features. So sit back, listen carefully, and make sure to watch this video until the very end. Because the difference between an everyday quarter and a rare collectible could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Let's begin by stepping back in time. The year is 1967. The Beatles are on the radio. The US is in the middle of the space race. And in the world of coins, the US Mint is making huge changes. Why is this year so important? Because in 1965, the US Mint made a historic decision. It stopped producing quarters with 90% silver and switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. But even 2 years later, in 1967, the transition wasn't completely smooth. The mint was under pressure. It was still producing coins without mint marks to discourage coin hoarding. That's right. Every coin minted in 1965, 1966, and 1967 has no mint mark at all. And during this chaotic period, something fascinating happened. Some 1967 Washington quarters were struck with rare and valuable minting errors, mistakes that turn a simple coin into a rare collector's prize. Errors like this don't happen often, and when they do, collectors will pay serious money to get their hands on the dot. Let's talk about a few of these errors. First, there's the double die error, a well-known and highly desirable mistake. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once with slight misalignment. The result? The text or image on the coin appears doubled, especially around the words, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date. If you have a 1967 quarter with this kind of doubling, you may be looking at something very special. Then there's the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't perfectly aligned during minting, and part of the design gets cut off. The more dramatic the misalignment, the rarer the coin becomes. A well-centered coin is common, but a 1967 quarter with 15%, 30%, or even 50% off-center strike. That's a conversation piece and a wallet fattener. Next up is one of the rarest, the wrong planchet error. In some rare cases, 1967 quarters were accidentally struck on planchets meant for other denominations, like dimes, nickels, or even foreign coins. These mistakes are incredibly rare and usually weigh less than a standard quarter. That unusual weight and appearance is your biggest clue. So if you find a 1967 quarter that looks odd or feels different, don't ignore it. Also worth noting are the clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin is literally missing in a crescent shape due to a mistake in the cutting process. These coins are extremely eye-catching and always attract attention from collectors. But here's the real twist. Some collectors and researchers believe that a very small number of 1,967 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchets, just like what happened with some 1965 and 1966 quarters. That means there may be a silver 1967 quarter out there, hiding in someone's pocket or old coin jar, waiting to be discovered. If yours is heavier than normal or has that signature silver ring when dropped, it might be one of these incredibly rare pieces. Now, let's talk about value. Most 1967 quarters in worn condition are just face value. But combine uncirculated condition with one of these rare errors, and suddenly your quarter could be worth more than an entire luxury car. People have found these rare coins in pocket change, estate collections, inherited jars, even rolls of quarters from the bank. That's what makes collecting so exciting. The treasure is out there, and it might be closer than you think. So the big question is, how much could a rare and perfect condition 1967 Washington quarter actually be worth? Well, if you're holding one of these extraordinary error coins, perhaps struck on a silver planchet, or with a double die, off-center strike, or wrong planchet error, and it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, then that coin could be worth up to $81,000. Yes, you heard that right. One single quarter from 1967, if it has the right characteristics, can be valued at $81,000. So what are you waiting for? Go check your old coin collections. Dig into your drawers, coin jars, and old piggy banks. That plain-looking quarter sitting in your stash might actually be the key to a hidden fortune. Top 4, we're exploring a coin that millions of people have seen, spent, or carried around without ever realizing the secret it might hold. We're talking about the 1971 Washington quarter dollar, a coin that, in the right condition and with the right features, can be worth a jaw-dropping amount of money. So sit tight, listen closely, and make sure to watch all the way through. Because what looks like a common coin could actually be a rare and expensive prize that could change your life. Let's begin with a little bit of history. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932, originally designed to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. But by the 1970s, it was just another part of everyday life, a coin people barely glanced at as they dropped it into parking meters, vending machines, or donation jars. But here's the twist. Not all 1971 quarters are equal. In fact, some of them, because of rare minting mistakes and special conditions, are worth far more than 25 cents. These are the quarters that collectors spend years hunting for. And today, you're going to find out why. Let's talk about what makes the 1971 quarter so special and potentially so valuable. First, like other quarters from 1965 onward, the 1971 version was made from a copper-nickel clad composition, no silver. But during this time, a few rare errors slipped through the cracks at the U.S. Mint, and those errors are what make some of these coins incredibly rare and expensive today. One of the biggest errors to look for is the off-metal strike. This is when a quarter is mistakenly struck on a blank mint for another coin, like a nickel, a penny, or even a foreign coin. This kind of error is extremely rare. You can sometimes notice it by checking the coin's color, thickness, or weight. A 1971 quarter that looks too thin, too light, or even the wrong color might be something very special. Then there's the double die error, a favorite among collectors. This happens when the coin design is imprinted twice with slight misalignment. If you look closely at the text or date on a double die coin, you might see a shadow or doubling effect. especially around the words liberty or in God we trust. These errors are often hard to spot unless you're really paying attention. But if you do find one, congratulations, it could be extremely valuable. Another error to watch out for is the off-center strike, where the coin wasn't lined up properly during minting. This results in a coin where part of the design is missing and the border looks uneven. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. You might also find clipped planchets, coins where a piece is missing due to an error in the cutting process. These unusual shapes make them highly collectible. And let's not forget about proof errors. Proof coins are struck using special dies and polished planchets to create a shiny, mirror-like finish. They're not meant for circulation, but sometimes a proof coin ends up in the wild by accident. If you find a 1971 quarter with unusually high detail and a shiny background, it might be a misplaced proof, another jackpot for collectors. Now, why does all this matter? Because 1971 was a year with high coin production, and most of those quarters were used in everyday transactions. That means the chances of finding one in perfect, uncirculated condition are slim. But if you do find a 1971 quarter with a rare error in pristine condition, it can command a massive premium on the collector's market. You see, collectors aren't just looking for coins, they're looking for history, uniqueness, and that perfect story. And when you hold a rare 1971 quarter with a minting error, you're holding something that no one else in the world has. That's what makes it valuable. That's what makes it powerful. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, how much is one of these rare 1971 Washington quarters actually worth? If you have a 1971 quarter with a major error, such as a double die, off-center strike, off-metal planchet, or a proof error, and it's in excellent, uncirculated condition, then that coin could be worth as much as $77,000. Yes, that's right. One simple coin, the kind you might overlook every day, could carry a value of $77,000 if it's one of those rare and collectible versions. So don't throw away those old coins. Take a second look. Pull out that dusty box from the attic, open up those rolls of quarters, or check the change from your last shopping trip. Your next big find could be right there waiting for you. Top 5, we're going to uncover the mystery behind a coin that millions of people have spent without a second thought. The 1972 Washington quarter dollar. Now, before you toss aside that quarter in your pocket, you need to listen carefully, because some 1972 quarters, thanks to a few minting mistakes and unique conditions, have become incredibly rare and shockingly valuable. In fact, one of these seemingly ordinary coins could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. So sit tight, stay focused, and by the end of this video, you might just be inspired to go digging through your old change. Let's take a quick step back into history. The Washington quarter has been a part of U.S. coinage since 1932, honoring the first president of the United States. By the 1970s, the design was well known. George Washington on the Obverse, with the majestic eagle spreading its wings on the reverse. But the 1972 version of this classic coin holds some special secrets. BY 1972. The U.S. Mint was producing quarters using copper-nickel clad, a change made in 1965 to cut down on silver usage. But even with new metal and modern machinery, the minting process wasn't perfect. And that's where opportunity hides. A handful of error coins slipped through the mint's quality control. And today, those coins are highly prized by collectors around the world. Let's explore some of the errors that can turn your 1972 quarter from common to collectible. First, there's the legendary double die error. Imagine looking at your quarter and noticing that the letters or numbers seem to have a shadow or a second outline. This happens when the coin is struck twice by the die, slightly misaligned. It's subtle, but it's one of the most famous and valuable types of errors. If you see doubling around Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the date, 1972, don't ignore it. You might have found something very rare. Next up is the off-center strike. This one's hard to miss. When a coin is stamped off balance, it creates a unique and bizarre-looking coin where part of the design is missing or stretched. The more off-center the strike, the more collectible the coin becomes. A 5% or 10% off-center coin is cool, but if you find a 1972 quarter that's 40% or 50% off-center, you're looking at a serious collector's item. Another incredible find is the wrong planchet error. That's when the quarter is mistakenly struck on a blank mint for a different coin, like a dime, nickel, or even a foreign currency. These types of coins are lighter or smaller than normal, and they often look strange to the eye. The rarity of this error is off the charts, and collectors will pay top dollar for it. And don't forget about the clipped planchet, a quarter with a clean, curved section missing because the blank was incorrectly punched. These oddities are instantly noticeable and always turn heads at coin shows. But here's a little-known twist about 1,972 quarters. There are whispers among collectors about experimental strikes or minting trials that may have occurred in limited numbers. These would have been coins tested using different metal mixtures, strike pressures, or dies. If any of those test coins made it out into circulation, even unknowingly, they would be worth a fortune. Now, condition also matters. Even a rare error coin won't reach its highest value unless it's in excellent, uncirculated condition, meaning no scratches, no heavy wear, just sharp details and a beautiful finish. If you come across a rare error and it's in mint state condition, you've struck gold. And here's what makes it all so thrilling. Most people don't check their change. These coins have been hiding in plain sight for decades, passed from pocket to pocket, tucked into drawers, dropped into jars. Your next coin roll, your parents' old collection, or even the quarter you get back from the grocery store could be the jackpot you never saw coming. Now let's get to the part you've been waiting for, that if you're lucky enough to own a 1972 Washington quarter dollar with a rare error, such as a double die strike, off-center minting, clipped planchet, or off-metal planchet, and it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, then that single coin could be worth up to $74,000. Yes, you heard that right. $74,000 for one single quarter. Oh, what are you waiting for? Grab your coin jars, check your pocket change, and pull out those old quarter rolls. Because that ordinary-looking 1972 quarter might just be your ticket to an extraordinary discovery. If you found this video exciting, educational, or inspiring, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another chance to learn about valuable coins hiding in plain sight. Thank you for watching, and as always, happy collecting, and may your next quarter bring you a fortune.